There are a lot of struggles and challenges facing young men in today's modern world. So in this video, I'm going to give you my opinion and hopefully some advice to take away from this video that I have learned on my journey through the world as a 40-year-old man. And obviously I grew up in a different time. There wasn't really social media and so much internet as it is nowadays, so I understand that. But I'm gonna just give you my journey and things that I have learned that will hopefully help you out. So I grew up in I was born in 84, so I'm 40 years old. And obviously I grew up in the 90s and 2000s, so a completely different world. There was not any social media, no dating apps, no Instagram, none of that stuff, and especially no dating coaches or info products and the red pill manosphere space as they call it nowadays. So I'm gonna break down hopefully some self-improvement tips and that you can really take along your journey if you're a young man on the come up and interested in self-improvement. And then I'm also gonna break down, I guess you can call it an influencer, or one YouTuber in particular. He's a very popular one. I didn't know who it was until a year ago. I came across his content and actually did some studying on his content, watched a few videos, which was very difficult because it's actually targeted towards like 13 to 18-year-old naive guys that have like no father figure and stuff like that. His name is Hamza. I'm sure you've heard of him if you are in the red manosphere space, as they call it, and self-improvement space. He considers himself, his message is self-improvement. He makes a lot of like no-fat videos and stuff like that, but I'll cover that a little bit later on in the video. But my overall take is that I grew up very lucky. I had a very good mother and a father. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, raised me and my brother. My dad, was out working and stuff like that, providing for the family. So I saw a really good outlook on traditional roles, gender roles of men and women, and how that is supposed to operate. And that's kind of like forged who I am today, working hard and staying up on my self-development. So that wasn't really a thing to have all these info products and flashy objects flashing at you to buy courses and stuff like that. So my whole take on this is that if you're a young man, you should really be focusing on in-person relationships and not so much social media and trying to make money online and all this other stuff. You should focus on that. I'm not saying you shouldn't, but in terms of like having that devoted for your whole life as a 13, 16 or 18-year-old man even is gonna not really help you out. I think you need to focus on in-person development, relationships, especially around playing sports, take up a martial art. And if you get, you need a male role model for sure. And if you don't have like a good father figure or a coach or something to help you out in person, then you start looking at these online guys, and that just takes you down a whole wrong turn in my opinion. And it's not really the best thing is to go to these online gurus or influencers, so to say, and buy their program, because they honestly do not give a fuck about you. So my whole take on that is to first stay offline if you're really in a dark place or working on self-improvement. Get into a sport, whether go to the gym. I would definitely suggest doing some type of a martial art or area where you can actually develop personal skills and also learn self-confidence. So I believe martial arts, boxing, wrestling, judo, jiu-jitsu, all of those would be really good things. I personally did karate and taekwondo, and then I played normal sports growing up, football, baseball, golf, stuff like that. But anyways, this whole stuff with the online education and teaching you how to be a man and dating and women and all that stuff did not exist. I had to learn this the hard way, and I think that has served me good as a 40-year-old man now. Of course, I have my drawbacks and I'm still on my journey myself, but that's just my take on this. And just, really you got to buckle down in these early years and really work on your self-development and not get into too much trouble, and focus on finding your purpose very early on will help you out in life a great deal, as opposed to trying to do all these get rich quick schemes online, buying all these courses, info products and stuff like that. And now I want to cover this guy Hamza. So if you don't know who this guy is, he has a lot of followers on YouTube and Instagram. His message is self-improvement. So I give him that. That's a very good message to have, is self-improvement. So I believe he came up with the Andrew Tate thing a couple years ago. Maybe he kind of got popular, and a bunch of these guys got popular because of Andrew Tate and the whole movement of masculinity and stuff like that, which is good. I believe in their message overall, but I just don't believe in the delivery, because this guy Hamza, so let's break it down. This guy is, I believe he's either Indian or Arab. He's a brown guy, so he's got dark skin. And that whole demographic, usually according to dating app stats, is the most disenfranchised group. According to what women find least attractive, is going to be like Indian, I believe, men. So that's not me saying it, and it's not racist, it's just pure facts based on dating apps. So this guy did his self-improvement, I guess, and became popular. I watched a few of his earlier videos, and then where he is now, I agree he did do a very good job of self-development, but he pretty much makes a bunch of no-fap videos, and also he makes these really highly edited dopamine videos that he says don't watch and scroll TikTok, but he makes these videos for his audience of young men that are obviously simps at a low spot and have zero attention span. So that's pretty much what he targets with his videos. And then his whole funnel is to go from his videos and watch his content into, I studied this, his funnel is to go into a school community and buy his course, and I believe it's $50 or something, maybe $100 a month. And it says on there, the school community, if that's right, 2,600 members at the paid one. And so that would equal, you know, if you do the math, he's making up close to $100,000 per month. And that's a pretty good income. Now, I don't know what he keeps off that based on what his team is like, if he has editors or advisors and copywriters, because obviously he is very heavy on these YouTube videos, making a lot of these long form videos. So I'm sure he has a team that writes his scripts and copywriters and stuff like that. Then obviously he delivers the scripts. He doesn't come up with this himself. Just to let you know, I'm an actor, and all these guys are using AI, and they're not really learning from life experience. This guy apparently is like 26, 27. So I don't know why you young guys don't have a in-person father figure. If you don't have a father, I understand, I can empathize with that, but I would say try to get an in-person coach or something like that and not look up to these guys online, because trust me, they don't give a fuck about you. Especially this guy, Hamza. And I'm not gonna bash him. I'm not throwing hate at him. I'm just doing pure observation. Of course, this is my opinion of what his content is based on. It's very psychological. It was hard for me to watch, quite frankly, because it's not targeted towards me. I don't have I'm not at rock bottom like scrolling TikTok and stuff like that. And his whole dopamine videos and his delivery is very psychological to get his cult follower. He even calls his followers cult members and stuff like that. I believe he refers to them. So he's pretty much making fun of them. And then he has these, my other break noticed that has these videos. He has two characters or personas. He has Jeffrey, which is, I guess, the loser, the simp, and then he has the Adonis, which I believe he considers the alpha male or himself or something like that. So go from Jeffrey, who's jerking off, watching porn, playing video games, and then Adonis goes to the gym, works out, self-improvement, meditation, cold showers, and all that stuff. And that's kind of the basis of his video. And I guess young kids are into that, and they get psychologically entertained by that, and then they go buy his program to learn YouTube or personal branding and stuff like that. So I don't know, man. Like it's a very strange world, that y'all would look up to somebody with, like, personally, I didn't really start getting any life experience until I was like 26, really any struggling until I was like 20. I mean, I struggled. There was obviously a time, a long time. I'm still struggling, there's still struggles today, but I had a job, I grinded, and then really it was hard because I got fired from my first job. I was making good money when I was like around 25, I got fired. So there was no jobs, and I didn't know how to get a job because there was not really social media. There was no internet. You had to do everything in person, and I just didn't, and the economy was bad. So I didn't know anybody to really help me out at that time to get a job. So I struggled for a while doing, bartending, club promotion, security, and then I just kind of gave up, and I've been a freelance for the past 15 years doing acting and stuff like that. So that's my whole opinion. Again, this guy does not really care about you. He makes a whole bunch of money off of young kids paying this fee for his school. And he even admits that he is running a cult-like audience, and that y'all are a bunch of simps, or Jeffries as he calls them, that you pay him, and that's his whole spiel. So that's his whole message, is self-improvement, but he really doesn't care about the young kids, his audience. And that was just my observation from that. And a lot of these other guys, the gurus, the same way, selling all these info products. I'm sure you bought these courses or whatever for $100 to up to $5,000. And maybe you have had some success and learned some stuff, but in most cases, there is very little people that find success in paying these guys for their courses. You're really just making them rich. And I see this in person because I lived in Miami for several years, so I'm around all these people that are doing this little grifting and online scam with the courses and stuff like that. So again, this is just my opinion. I advise, if you're a young guy, to really just understand that you're gonna go through a tough time growing up. It's very common and it'll get better. Trust me, as long as you work on self-improvement, you stay confident, and find an in-person mentor. Hopefully you have a father to help you guide you along the way, and you are still working hard. And I would just not focus so much on the internet glitz and glam and trying to make money on whether all these different types of stuff, e-com, trading and stuff like that. I would just focus on maybe finding a real in-person job to develop your skills, like working in a restaurant. I was a server, I was a bartender, I did club promotions and stuff like that. And that is just honestly my advice. You can do whatever you want. I'm not saying to be a loser for your whole life. I'm not saying to not buy a course if you think it's going to be helpful, but in most cases, these courses and info products from these influencers in this current manosphere, red pill space, are going to be completely useless. They're not going to help you out. And that's just, again, my opinion. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out on Instagram. It's Kyle Harper Fitness. The link is in the description below, or you can comment down below and I'll try to respond to you. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.